Prerna, afternoon.
Afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Professor Aggarwal, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Prerna. How are
Good
you?
afternoon. I'm fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, should we start now?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to all distinguished guests and participants. Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Computer Applications and Management, BVI CAM, in association with IEEE Delhi Section, Computer Science Chapter of IEEE Delhi Section, Industry Institute Partnership Cell, IIPC, AICTE, Computer Society of India CSI, ISTE Delhi Section, IITP New Delhi, and IETE Delhi Center welcomes you all to this one-week faculty development program in outcome-based education and the NBA accreditation process. Dr. Albert Einstein said, intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. This quote is completely justified for all academicians and researchers as well as mankind in the times of this pandemic. All scholarly areas are now encountering the challenge of enabling continuous learning and growth. However, faculty members and even noted academicians, scientists are among those distinguished members of civil human society who are looked upon as a guiding force. In order to maintain this humongous responsibility, these individuals should also ensure their continuous growth and learning. The objective of this faculty development program is to nurture the philosophy of outcome-based education, OBE, and build the capacity of the young faculty members, head of department, principals, directors of institutions so as to facilitate its institutionalization in the teaching learning system and other academic processes of the institution. Development and implementation of good academic processes in an institutionalized manner by involving not only teachers but also students and their continuous improvement is paramount in ensuring the quality of the outcome of any of the programs run by any of the institutions globally. The workshop will have sufficient discussions, deliberations, in-case study approaches as to how re-engineer or fine-tune the academic processes to drastically improvise on the quality of the outcome, which will not only seamlessly facilitate the institution in earning the NBA accreditation of the program, but also develop confidence amongst the stakeholders in a sustainable manner. I first take this opportunity to welcome amongst us our distinguished guests and participants to this inaugural session of the one-week faculty development program. We are privileged to have amongst us a galaxy of experts. I first welcome amongst us Professor Prerna Gaur, Chairperson IEEE Delhi Section and Professor and Head of Department of Instrumentation and Control Engineering, Netaji Subhash University of Technology, New Delhi. I also welcome amongst us Professor K.K. Aggarwal, Chairman, National Board of Accreditation, New Delhi, former Founder Vice Chancellor, GGS IP University, New Delhi, and a noted academician of the country. I also welcome Professor P.S. Grover, former Dean and Director, University of Delhi. Professor Prerna Gaur is presently working as Professor and Head, Instrumentation and Control Department, Netaji Subhash University of Technology, Dwarka, New Delhi. With 6 years of industry experience and 24 years of teaching experience in Delhi College of Engineering and NSUT Delhi, ma'am has more than 120 research papers in international journals and IEEE conferences. During her illustrious career, ma'am has also guided more than 150 BTech and MTech and many PhD students. She is Director, Technical Business Incubator of NSUT and NBA Coordinator of NSUT, a member of NBA Expert Committee and the member of various committees of AICTE and UGC. Besides teaching, ma'am is also actively associated with IEEE, ISTE, IETE Fellow, and IE Fellow. A reviewer with several prestigious journals, ma'am also has many awards and honors to her credit. I thank you, ma'am, for gracing this occasion today, and I now request you to commence this session with your welcome address. Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, you are on mute.
Unmute me.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, now you are audible.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Ritika. Good afternoon, everyone. Our chief guest, Professor K.K. Aggarwal, Chairman, NBA, New Delhi, former founder Vice Chancellor, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, New Delhi. Our guest of honor, Professor Grover, of honors from Computer Society of India, Mumbai, guest of honor from Institute of Electronics and Telecommunication, New Delhi, and Execom members of IEEE Delhi section. Professor Aman Huda, Director BVI-CAM, New Delhi, and organizing coordinator Dr. Ritika of 1 week FDP on outcome-based education and NBA accreditation process. Eminent speakers, various executive committee members of various professional bodies and participants. I am happy to note that in this FTP, we have participants from all over India and abroad too. The result of quality of the program and dedication of all volunteers. My congratulations. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the 1 week FDP on outcome-based education and NBA accreditation process, technically co-sponsored by IEEE Delhi section. It is an opportunity for me to share the information and the achievements of IEEE Delhi section. IEEE has a platform for accreditation process and outcome-based education through its Education Activity Board. Delhi section, currently I am the chair of this standing committee, and it is an honor to be here in this activity, technically co-sponsored by IEEE Delhi section. At the moment, IEEE Delhi section is flourishing community of more than 4,000 active members. We now have 20 chapters, 4 affinity groups, 112 student branches, and around 55 student branch chapters, out of which 4 chapters and 20 student branch chapters were opened in the last 2 years only. IEEE ITSS Delhi chapter, Photonics Society chapter in Rajasthan, Antenna and Propagation chapter in Jaipur, and Oceanic Society chapter in Delhi. This year to weave a stronger network between industry and academia, we introduced 3 new student branches, NIT Delhi, IIIT Delhi, and Haryana University branch, and 20 new branch chapters under IEEE Delhi section. I would also like to highlight the success this year in terms of activities and recognition. Around 50 professional members were elevated to senior member grade in the last 2 years. Delhi section has organized a number of activities jointly with other professional societies like Institute of Engineers and IETE. Our volunteers took active participation in activities organized by Region 10, Asia Pacific region, and India Council. As a result, the section has been awarded 2 flagship events of India Council, a conference, Indicon 2020, which is going to be organized between 10 December to 13 December in Netaji Subhash University of Technology, Dwarka, and All India Student Women in Engineering Young Professional Life Member Congress 2020 to be held in Chitkara University in Chandigarh in the month of December 2020 only, although both are now in online mode. We have successfully organized Delhi Student Congress for Rajasthan and Chandigarh subsections for students, women in engineering, and our professionals, young professionals. Section has received Membership Retention Award consecutively for the last 3 times from Member and Geographical Activity Board of IEEE. With so many awards to ornate us, I look at IEEE Delhi section as a very promising team of professional minds. Coming to this FDP, with high hopes, I wish every participant here to get benefits of knowledge disseminated by eminent speakers through this continuous flowing stream created by the team of Professor Huda. I hope all the participants are aware of Margdarshak and Margdarshan scheme of AICTE for this accreditation purpose only. I have got this opportunity to be associated with this activity and scheme closely, which helps institutes to get guidance in very low budget to prepare for NBA accreditation. So all this information you may find on AICTE website. In the end, I congratulate Professor Huda and his team for successfully conducting this 5th FDP. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now request Professor M.N. Huda, Director, BVI CAM, New Delhi, and Chairman, KPPC, IITA, to give the background note for this workshop.
Good afternoon to everyone. I take this opportunity at the outset to welcome Honorable Vice Chancellor for my mentor and always a constant source of strength to me. Sir, despite your busy schedule, you never say no to any of the program of Bharati Vidyapit. Thank you so much, sir. I also take the opportunity to thank Dr. Prerna, my friend. Despite busy schedule at the university, she also readily accepted my invitation to grace the occasion, and she is here. Thank you so much, madam. I take the opportunity to welcome all the participants from different parts of the country. 100+ participants will be attending this program. I take this opportunity to thank to their institution in their collective capacity, individually to all those participants who have expressed their confidence in our program and joined this program. Thank you so much. And I wish entire 1 week will be fruitful, will be meaningful for all of you. My dear friends, this is second in the series for outcome-based education and NBA accreditation, this FDP, and 11th in entire series of FDP programs since corona pandemic has disrupted everything. In general, we all know that change is the only constant phenomenon. Nothing else is constant on this earth, and this corona pandemic has also shown us that the rate of change is very fast, and if we do not follow that fast rate of change, possibly will be left to behind. And that's how I keep on saying that if we do not change with respect to time, if we do not change with respect to time, possibly the changing ecosystem will change us. And that's how it is said that इंसान घर बदलता है, लिबास बदलता है, रिश्ते बदलता है, दोस्त बदलता है. हम सब कुछ अपने सराउंडिंग बदलते होते हैं. इंसान घर बदलता है, लिबास बदलता है, रिश्ते बदलता है, दोस्त बदलता है, फिर भी परेशान क्यों रहता है? क्योंकि हम खुद को नहीं बदलते. My dear friends, having said this, education is not going to be an exception. If you see what happened with Nokia, what happened with Kodak, the companies and the products who have been the world leaders are no more available or are not in a position to influence the society. And if we keep on believing that our existing education system, our existing teaching learning system will continue to dominate the world, we are mistaken. That is not going to happen. So the way changes are going to influence every spectrum of the life, exactly in the same way, the changes are also going to disrupt our day-to-day teaching learning processes, and probably the National Education Policy 2020, NEP 2020, which has just been 3 months ago has been launched, is most disruptive regulation, which is going to disrupt entire academic system at this moment. In a positive sense, of course. And this policy has also mandated now everything, only into technical education, but also in a traditional everything should be outcome oriented. Everything should be outcome, should revolve around. And that is very obvious also. If we wanted to board an aircraft and we do not know where the destination is, probably none of us would like to board that aircraft for which we do not know where the destination is. How do we expect that a student, that a learner will join my institution, will join a program at my college or university without knowing where the student will land up after completion of the program, where students will land up 3 years, 5 years down the line after completion of the program. For completion of the program and comes to the program, within program, different courses. So with which courses, what learning outcome he is going to get? That is very important concern. And every we are obliged to give that outcome in the beginning, so that every student should know that after completion or maybe a program in C, what will be the outcome, what will be the capability of the students. And if we do not do that, possibly the time will not forgive us, that will be left behind in terms of the competitive environment of the international education. And that's how it is said that we should not keep on cripping that our students' quality is bad, our teaching quality is bad, etc., etc. The responsibility of making all these things good in line with what the international standard says, in line with what the new policy and regulations are saying, lies on our shoulder. And that's how it is said that Umar bar ghalib yahi bhool karta raha, Umar bar yahi bhool karta raha, dhool pe thi, main aina saaf karta raha. Then different corporate agencies conduct and says that only 25% of the people are employable, 35% of the people are employable, 50% of the people are employable. We keep on debating on their parameters, whether their parameters are correct or incorrect. We never look back at our entire teaching learning system, that what the teaching learning system aligned what is required for the industry. What teaching learning system tailored in such a way that learners understood that what I am supposed to learn in advance, and then accordingly that course after completion of entire semester, they should be in a position to judge themselves that what ability was expected to be developed and what. And not only that the government is forcing all of us to go for accreditation process, maybe NBA accreditation or maybe NAC accreditation, whichever is applicable to whichever institution or universities. According to me, the outcome-based education should become the way of life at our institution. The outcome-based processes of teaching learning should be institutionalized across the institution. And then the accreditation process, whether it's accreditation or NAC accreditation, should be considered as a byproduct of this institutionalized process. Unless we percolate these outcome-based education amongst the faculty member, unless we sensitize the students with these processes, possibly the kind of the changes which we are expecting will not come. The kind of the cooperation with the help of outcome-based education will not come. Is this FDP program has been customized for the member, so that we endeavor to develop the capacity of the teachers. Once the capacity of the teachers are developed, when the teachers are sensitized regarding the philosophy of the outcome-based education, they will in turn percolate this culture amongst their peers, amongst students to whom they are interacting day in and day out. That's the entire purpose of this particular program. My dear friends, this entire program has been planned on, again, OBE philosophy. We have already circulated you the PEO's program, educational objective of this 1 week faculty development program. We have also circulated you the program outcomes PEO's. We have also circulated you session outcome for every session, what all sessions we are conducting. So out of this entire workshop, the workshop level outcomes we have circulated, and at the end we'll also take the course exit survey to understand to which extent we have been successful in doing that. In order to ensure that you actively participate, we keep you engaged in this program. We have designed assessment mechanism in a way that you need to undergo for multiple choice test also based on multiple choice questions, and then you will also need to write the assignments for which you need to write that what all has been discussed in this session, and then what are the learning outcome out of this session. so that we should understand that whether the session which has been organized was useful or some customization, some changes are required for future programming that session. So the all assessment mechanism has been designed. I wish that the entire 5 days program, which has been designed very meticulously, for which the speakers from all over country have been invited after choosing after too much filtration process, are very senior experts have been invited. I think with this involved you, all of you will develop the competency and will be in a position to get motivated, so that in turn as a faculty you can percolate this culture as a way of life at your respective institution. I'm not more out education, because we have invited none other than the chairman of National Board of Accreditation, Professor K. Aggarwal sir, who himself is claimed to be the noted expert of outcome-based education. We'd like to hear more from him on this note. I would like to conclude that the entire process is to ensure that how the faculty member should get sensitized first, then motivated to improve outcome-based education, and our and way of life institutionalized practice of institution. That is our process, and that's how I keep on saying that यही है जुनून मेरा, यही है शौक मेरा, यही है जुनून मेरा, यही है शौक मेरा, चिराग वहां जला दे जहां है मेरा। हम अपने प्रोसेस को आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे, हम अपने प्रोसेसेस में जहां कहीं मॉडिफिकेशन की जरूरत है करेंगे, हम आउटकम ओरिएंटेड फिलॉसफी को यूज करेंगे और अपने इंस्टीट्यूशन की क्वालिटी करेंगे। मिरर साफ नहीं करेंगे, अपने प्रोसेसेस को फाइन ट्यून करेंगे। इसी बैकग्राउंड के साथ ये एफडीपी हमने ऑर्गेनाइज किया है। आई विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट एंड वेरी फ्रूटफुल, वेरी मीनिंगफुल सेशन, एंड विश दैट द takeaways which will be carrying from this will be too significant for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Your guidance and foresightedness has always kept us going. We are privileged to have amongst us Professor K.K. Aggarwal, Chairman, National Board of Accreditation, New Delhi. Professor Aggarwal obtained his Bachelor of Engineering degree, Punjab University, and Master's degree from NIT Kurukshetra. Later, he did his PhD also from NIT Kurukshetra. After a distinguished service of 27 years at NIT Kurukshetra, Professor Aggarwal served as Pro-Vice Chancellor GJU Hisar for a period of 3 years, and then as Founder Vice Chancellor of GGS Indraprastha University, Delhi for a period of 10 years. He has been President of the Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers IETE for the period from 2002 to 2004, President Computer Society of India from 2007 to 2009, and President Southeast Asia Regional Computer Confederation SAARCC from 2008 to 2010. Professor Aggarwal has published more than 400 papers in reputed journals, including international journals of repute. He has been widely consulted by the industry, most notably being his contribution towards the reliability analysis for PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Professor Aggarwal was also conferred the honorary fellowship by the Broadcast Society of India. He was decorated with the Lifetime Achievement Award by the IETE and also by the Computer Society of India. Professor Aggarwal has also been associated with NBA in various capacities since its inception and was the chairman EAEC Tier 2 before taking over as chairman for NBA on 14 January 2009. I would now request Sir to kindly give his inaugural address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ritika, for the nice introduction. Professor Hoda, the force behind this workshop, and several such faculty development programs already organized earlier by him very successfully. And the feedback which I have from the participants, those courses have been received by the institutions and the teachers very well. So I'm happy that he is continuing with his mission and doing one more such program starting today. So Professor Hoda, then Professor Prerna Gaur, Chairperson IEEE Delhi section, which is IEEE collaborating with this program and giving a boost to this program. I have known Professor Prerna for several decades and know her commitment to the cause. And I was so happy to hear from her today how IEEE Delhi section is taking up many activities under her chairmanship. All the very best wishes for all the IEEE activities which he is planning already on the slate. Dr. Ritika, the convener of this program, Professor P.S. Grover, one of the academic force behind this program, and right from beginning of the programs on accreditation, he has been with Professor Hoda from day one for every moment of the program to make sure that the programs deliver what is intended to be delivered, because Professor Grover has been associated with accreditation in a very big way. He is also taking quite a few sessions in this program, so I'm very sure of the quality of the program. In addition to Professor Grover, I find the other speakers are Professor Pavla, Professor Guru Prasad, Professor Dharmender Kumar, Professor Sanjeev Sofar, and of course, Dr. Hoda. I know all these persons so well that I have absolutely no doubt about the quality of the program, and I'm not going to talk about that. Friends, I have been told that the participants in this program is a very mixed diversity of disciplines, many of them from management disciplines, some of them from engineering discipline, and some from other science disciplines, and so on and so forth. So I am therefore restricting myself to talk about engineering today. So I'll talk about the philosophy of outcome-based education in general. As Dr. Hoda said, really speaking, outcome-based education should be the only method of education, because in input-based education, where I decide what I will teach and believe everything will be fine, is a wishful thinking which doesn't take us very far. Outcome-based education will make me decide first what do I expect the graduate to have, and then decide what to teach him or her. So that's a basic philosophical change. It's not a simple pedagogical change. It's a change of philosophy, change of mindset. And the very fact outcome-based translates to student-centric education. You know, for lots of decades, we have been talking about teacher-centric education, student-centric education, and outcome-based education automatically means student-centric, because the student is the focus, graduate is the focus. Therefore, I personally feel there is no other method of education which is really valid and which is necessary except the outcome-based education. And we in India started outcome-based education from engineering education primarily because we wanted to become a member of the Washington Accord, which is a MOU of 20 countries of the world, which defined the mobility of engineers in these 20 countries without having to undertake any professional competency tests for each category, each country. And therefore, we were sort of persuaded to go to outcome-based education about 12, 14 years ago. But now we have realized, the whole country has realized, that outcome-based education is the only education. When Washington Accord mandated us, only to go for engineering tier 1 institutions for outcome-based education, but we did not stop at that. As NBA, we go for outcome-based education even for tier 2 institutions. We go for outcome-based education for management institutions, for architecture institutions, for MBA, MCA institutions, for pharmacy institutions, whichever institution we accredit, we go for outcome-based education. And I'm so happy now that outcome-based education now has been adopted by UGC and NAC also. And imagine the difficulties of non-quantitative subjects being outcome-based education. You have now to define outcome-based education for a dance degree. You have now to define outcome-based education for a music degree, for a painting, and all these things have to be defined outcome-based education. Now, as the first instance, it appears to us that it's easy to define outcome-based education for quantitative subjects, difficult for qualitative. But let me tell you, history is other way around. We always had an assessment for qualitative subjects. Your dance master will declare what is your competence level, what is your proficiency level of a dancer, and it will be accepted by the whole world. In NCC, in judo karate, in taekwondo, the master will declare you deserve an orange belt, you deserve a green belt, you deserve this belt, and that's the end of it. Nobody questions. So the things which appear in NCC in our country, we say you are C certificate, you are B certificate, you are A certificate. And these things are accepted very well. So friends, it's nothing to do with engineering education per se. And today I believe when we talk about national policy of education, outcome-based education is once again strengthened a lot. Just to bring home this point, I will show you two slides. The first slide has been shown by Dr. Ritika on the screen. It is before the outcome-based education, something which we are still following most of the time in our country. And even when we talk about outcome-based education, let me tell you, we are still halfway through the outcome-based education. I know Professor Grover is working hard every day to take it little further towards outcome-based, but we have still miles to go to reach full outcome-based education. We are still probably in between the two. So the slide which I'm showing here is time-based industrial age paradigm, which is before the outcome-based education. Let's briefly talk about the characteristics of this education, which is before the onset of outcome-based education, so that we are able to appreciate outcome-based education. It says calendar defined. The education is calendar defined in the sense that you must take admissions in July if it's a management program, and must get only 2 years to learn everything about management education, and we will give you an MBA degree. If it's an engineering, you must take 4 years, not 3, not 5, not 3.5, not 4.5. 4 years is the time given to you, and we'll give you a degree. That's the calendar defined education. Constrained opportunity. If you have got JEE rank this much, then only I will allow you to study computer science. Otherwise, if your JEE is less than this, you are not fit for computer science. So constrained opportunity, we have constrained the students that you are not even allowed to study many things. If you don't get good marks in 10th, even the school does not allow you to take the science stream or the commerce stream. They will say, no, you will have to go to the art stream because your marks in 10th are less. Now, this is constrained opportunity, which is built into the system. Then custodial credentialing. We give credits, but we decide the credits. I mean, somehow we have built in that this course will have 4 credits. And then whatever is your performance in this course, you will get 4 credits. Whether you whether you put in 100 hours of study or you put in 500 hours of study, I will give you only 4 credits because it is me who have decided that this course will take 4 credits. So that is custodial credentialing. Content segmentation. We have divided the content so rigidly that if I give you admission here, this is all what you have to study. And if I give you admission here, this is all you have to study. You have no flexibility on that. You just cannot choose what you wish to do. Curriculum coverage. The whole emphasis is on curriculum coverage, not on concept coverage. The teacher is given a sheet of paper called syllabus and told that in the first month, you must cover this much. Not only that, when I see some school curriculums and some of the engineering and colleges curriculum also, even lecture-wise distribution is made. On Monday, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you must cover these things. Tuesday, 8 to 9, you must cover this thing. So curriculum coverage is the focus. Concept learning is not the focus at all. Cumulative achievement. Thereby, that if at some stage in life you do little poor, that poor performance takes you all through your life without giving you an opportunity to make up. If you get less marks in 10th, you will have to study arts in 11th and 12th. And if you have studied arts in 11th and 12th, you will have to do BA. You cannot do engineering, you cannot do medicine, whatever may be the reason. You might have fallen, you might have had a fever night before the 10th class examination, but if that be so, whole of your life, you are denied for engineering or medicine or something. That's our system, cumulative achievement. Whatever happens, that sticks on to you. Selection categories. The word selection is written like this in the slide because the author felt that every word starts from C. It's not my original slide. Selection categories, that is, we will select what category you belong to, what course you will be given. Contest learning. You just have a defined contest in which you have to learn. Comparative evaluation. Relative grading and concepts like that. A beautiful case study appeared in a USA university in 92, where the students took a lot of interest, teacher took a lot of interest, and every student got more than 97% performance. But because of the relative grading, 97% performers were given grade D, because A, B, C, D had to be divided in a bell-shaped curve. So we were so obsessed with the concepts like grading has to follow a bell-shaped curve. Now a student, if he has got 97% performance, how can you give him D grade? But that was the concept of a relative grading to which we were working. That was the comparative. And cellular structure, this is the only structure in which you have to do. If you have done PCM, then engineering. If you have done PCB, then medical science. You have absolutely no opportunity to change your stream or change your structure. That is the system of education. And once I've explained these things, I think many of you will agree that some of the mindset still works according to these principles, which have been explained in a book which was published in 1994. Okay, so now let me take to the next slide, which was again prepared in 1994 by the author, and that's on outcome-based education. Yeah, the author in 1994 has given this slide on outcome-based education, which should be the mode of education. I repeat, way back in 1994. And in this country, we are still struggling whether to follow outcome-based education or not. Some of our best institutions in the country have still resisted to shift to outcome-based education for reasons which at least I don't understand. First thing, please keep in mind, my teacher colleagues here, outcome-based education and accreditation are not synonymous. They have nothing to do with each other. You will have to follow outcome-based education whether you get accredited or not, whether you want to get accredited or not. Accreditation by NBA is a method whereby we recognize outcome-based education. But outcome-based education is a method of teaching learning. It is not a method of accreditation. So please consider the two as very disjoint. In the outcome-based education, we say outcome defined. I'll define the outcome first and then work backwards, as Dr. Hoda hinted. Unless you define what a graduate is supposed to do, I mean, whether I want a mechanical engineer to remain management, what kind of management, and so on and so forth. And these outcomes could be to some extent institution to institution, to some extent even student to student, because every student may not be having the capability of same outcomes, potential of same outcomes. As an example which I have given repeatedly, if you define an outcome for a fish must learn how to climb up a tree and a monkey must learn how to swim, both will never achieve the targets. So we have to define outcomes based upon the inherent capabilities of the institution, inherent capabilities of the individual, expanded opportunity. And then we have to give the opportunity in a very expanded manner. You want to learn something online? Yes. You have to learn something blended mode? Yes. You have to learn some course from other university? Yes. You have to, instead of 2 years, you want to take 3 years? Yes. Instead of 4 years, you want to quickly finish in 3.5 years? Yes. So expanded opportunity, opportunities will have to increase very often. Performance credentialing. Now, credits will not only depend upon the time, credits will also depend upon the performance. If you do exceptionally well, why can't I give you more credits? Because credit is after all a measure of the amount of hours. If somebody does exceptionally well in some course, then I know he or she has spent more hours. So why not to give credit for that? Concept integration. It's not dividing the concept, but integrating the concept. Do I want mechanical engineer to go for 3D manufacturing? If that be so, will SUM remain the same? No. Do I want my management graduates to go to use artificial intelligence? Then the whole management will change. Do we want management to be value-based? That will change. Instructional coaching. Now, this is very important. If you learn cricket, say, for example, the coach decides whether you would be a bowler or a batsman. If you are a bowler, you will be a fast bowler or a seam bowler or whatever. If you are a fielder, where you should stand, coach decides with you. In our system, teacher never decides with the student as to what he or she should be best at. And if you remember, in good old days, we had that. So instructional coaching, from the role of a teacher, we have to go to the role of a coach as to measure the potential of a student, find out where he or she best will be, and then help him or her to achieve the best. Culminating achievement. Achievement, define that this is achievement, and well, you have not failed. You have got a green belt. Next time you can go and take an orange belt, but you have not failed. As a matter of fact, in outcome-based education, there is no word called failure. You define the outcome for each student, and then he achieves that. If he achieves that, you raise the bar, and if he achieves the next one. In inclusionary success, you put in the success, the definition of communication skills. You put in the success, the definition of team working. Not that after my degree, you please join a finishing school and get these team working, get these communication skills and so on and so forth. No, in my definition of success itself, I will include all these things. Cooperative learning. Just as a team spirit, let the class learn by themselves. Big teams working on projects. So that does not mean you should always compete with each other for first position or grade A. I can give grade A to the whole class if they do all very well. So cooperative learning, criterion validation. So we will validate the criteria by which we have done, and collaborative structure, not culminating structure. So these are the sort of paradigms of outcome-based education. I'll again repeat, which have been written in 1994, 25 years ago. And now you must have heard hundreds of talks on national policy of education. All these, in some form or the other, do appear in national policy of education. When you talk about multidisciplinarity, when you talk about flexibility, when you talk about no streams in schools, when you talk about sports being given credits, when you talk about culmination of science and arts, all these are integral part of outcome-based education, as you can see from this slide. So therefore, I personally really fail to understand how can we have national policy of education without incorporating outcome-based education. And therefore, I thought I'll take a few minutes today to explain to you that outcome-based education is an integral part of all education, necessary part of all education. We are already late. Policy is there announced in 2020. That does not mean everything in that policy is being conceived for the first time. I'm showing you 26 years old published document which said all what is required in national policy of education, but has not still been put into practice. Now is the time to put all that into practice, whether you talk in terms of outcome-based education, whether you talk in terms of implementation of national policy of education, and whether you will like to go in for accreditation voluntarily, willingly, and so on and so forth. So friends, having just explained what could be meant by outcome-based education, I'll stop here and wish this course all the very best. And knowing the speakers, having heard them many times, having worked with them many times, I'm sure participants at the end of this week will definitely be oriented towards outcome-based education, and that will automatically take them towards implementing national education policy. That's my thrust. The two are not different. They are exactly the same. Flexibility is an essential element of outcome-based education. Interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary is an essential element. A streamless education is an essential element of this. Total personality development is an element of this. So I thought I'll just take a few minutes to sensitize you, whether you talk about implementation of national policy of education, whether you want to go in for outcome-based education, and then finally, if you decide to go in for accreditation, this is the route which you have to take. And the 1 week by eminent people will take you towards that. With that hope and wish, I stop here and wish all of you very best of the gainful course, gainful lectures over the week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. You have beautifully defined the importance and meaning of outcome-based education that we should all aim to achieve. At this point, I would like to extend a warm vote of thanks to our distinguished guests, Professor Prerna Gaur ma'am and Professor K.K. Aggarwal sir, for gracing this occasion. Thank you for your informative and thought-provoking address. I am sure that all participants have taken cue from the same. With this, we draw curtains to this inaugural session. I request the participants to take a quick 10-minute refreshment break Before we shall be commencing with our first session for today, sharp at 1:30 p.m.,